You are tuned in to that praising station, Praise.fm, where we get our praise on. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Under the Scope. It's another Saturday, and I am glad to be here. I am your host, Kimbralon B. A little bit about me. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Arizona. Been in the field for about a decade. Worked with people from all walks of life, dealing with tons of whatever they were dealing with. And my job with them is to come alongside of them and to work with them. So let me tell you a little bit about how Under the Scope came about. So even though I was working with people in the counseling room, you know that there's a challenge sometimes in getting people inside of the room. So I decided to do something in the community outside of the room to spread the importance of mental health awareness. So I know that this was a big job for me, but I couldn't do it alone. So I decided to not only do this show, I decided to find some of the most influential people on the planet, and they could share their knowledge, skills, and abilities, and most important, any contributions they have to spread the importance of mental health awareness. And so that's where we're here today on Under the Scope. All right, so I want to give a shout out on the platform that I'm on right now. And this platform is Praise FM Radio. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, good afternoon, Facebook Live. This is where you're viewing us at. Like the page while you're here, okay? Because we got 24/7 happenings going here. Like I said, instead of me watching Netflix, this is what I watch, okay? Because it shows and it's music 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you, Zoom Room, for joining us. So you'll hear some of the shenanigans on the background. So moving forward about Under the Scope. So I didn't just choose the name Under the Scope because I thought it was, cute. So there's a little twist. So not only do I bring guests to come alongside of me to talk about the importance of mental health awareness, on Under the Scope, this is a participatory platform. And on this platform, it's not only me asking the guest questions, and my questions are scripted. You, Facebook Live, you that's joining us in the Zoom room, have an opportunity to take our guests under the scope and ask unscripted questions, and they have to be able to answer those questions right off the cuff. So it's pretty exciting to watch. Moving forward, I want to do a disclaimer before we get started. So any information on Under the Scope is for conversational, inspirational, and educational purpose and does not substitute you getting a higher level of care if you need a higher level of care. And if so, please message me either via through the Praise FM Radio, or if you're looking at me on Kimbralon B or the new Under the Scope page, please send me a message and I can get that information to you, okay? So without further ado, I want to get started because we got an interesting topic today that I love to talk about, and that's relationships and mental health, because I think anybody can relate to this. And again, I don't do it alone. So I have to let you know, I went out and then I have an amazing child that knows so many amazing people. And she was like, hey, I have one of the most flyest relationship consultants in the country. And I was like, okay, I will bring them on Under the Scope if they fly and they're willing. I reached out to my guest today and my guest said yes. And we had one of the best conversations. So I know that this is going to be interesting for you. I mean, not only being a relationship consultant, actually wrote 2 books, y'all. So we got some talent right here. But without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Carla Necole. Okay. So before we let Carla introduce herself, let me mention how you can ask Carla questions. I want to get that out of the way. Facebook Live, please put your questions in the comments. We have someone that can bring the questions and send the questions to me. Zoom room, please utilize the chat. Okay, to ask questions for Under the Scope at any time during the show. So, Carla, I wanted to get that out of the way, so I'm ready for you to take over on this train and take us out of the station. The mic is yours.
Okay, so do I introduce myself first?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so my name is Carla Necole. I did write 2 books. I have them right here.
Hey.
But I am the founder of Relationship Talk. That's the T at the end of it. And the reason why I founded that platform is because I got tired of seeing women, like successful women, ambitious women, smart women, women who basically were acing life in areas like their career, their education, taking care of their kids, all of that stuff, but they kept failing in relationships, self-included. So I got tired of seeing that. I actually got pissed. I got tired and mad. And so we were also being blamed for everything that was wrong in relationships. And I was like, I'm changing this. I consider myself a feminist. I consider myself a misandrist. So I kind of like, I don't put myself just in one box, and then I also change the box that I'm in to fit me. But I wanted to basically like take down the patriarchy. So that's like my my world domination goal. Let's take down the patriarchy, because I just feel like women as a whole are oppressed. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. But in relationships, you see it all the time, like the abuses, the taking away of rights, how even the justice system doesn't really protect us. And I'm also a follower, and I make people aware of like Black femicide, which is Black women getting killed every 5.5 hours in this country alone. I also am I'm the chair of a committee here in Nashville, who we assist survivors of human trafficking, so human sexual trafficking. So I'm really involved in stuff like that. And my whole premise, my whole being is protect women, protect Black women specifically. And that's how I live my life. So part of the relationship talk was, let's talk about the sugar, honey, iced tea. Let's talk about that in relationships, versus the fairy tale that we were taught growing up. And also, I feel like the fairy tale always comes after all of this suffering. Oh, I was with him for 15 years. He cheated for sin. I had outside kids. And then finally, because I stuck around for 2 decades of crap, now I get a ring. Or now, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm good enough to make. And I was like, look, it's time to stop that. Like, we deserve love if that's what we want. We deserve a good, healthy relationship if that's what we want, but not after we have suffered so much, lost so much. And some of the things that we lose is like our grasp on mental health. So that's why we're here now. And I know we'll get more into that, but that is how Relationship Talk was born. I was like, I want to educate. I want to make people aware. I want to have women have a paradigm shift, have a different perspective on what we've been taught and conditioned to do. Even my mom, she was like, she's reading the book, and she was like, this is helping me. She's 20 years my senior. She's like, it could help any woman. She said, because when I was growing up, we were told a little piece of a man was better than no man. She's like, that is how we were raised. And I know that stuff is kind of passed down to us. And I just wanted to shake that up. I actually wanted to disrupt it. I wanted to shake that up, like say, no, this is it, and that's how Relationship Talk was born. And basically that's how the book was born too. So I have a lot to say, always. I have a lot to say. And I was like, let me just put this all in one central place. And that's what I did with the book. And I wrote this book this year in about a month's time. I didn't even know I was going to write another book this year. After I wrote the first one, I said I would never do this again. End up doing it again. But I had a lot to say, and I wanted to put it here. And I wanted to put everything that I believe in, that drives me, into this book. And it's not your average relationship book. That's what I would like to say. To the readers, they know this. It's not about how to find, get, or keep a man. I would never, ever, ever, ever teach that. But it is how to spot red flags, what different types of abuse look like, how to protect yourself, protect your finances, just the things that I have seen women over and over go through and suffer from. That's what's in this book. It's like, no more. We're done with that. But also here are the tools, here's the support to get to that level.
Awesome. Jam-packed. See, I was telling everybody, I think we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. I like to open up with a quote, especially when it's talking about relationships. And the quote is from Will Ferrell, but I found it to be funny. It was like, before you marry a person, you should first make them use a computer with slow internet service to see who they really are. And I just thought about that. It's like, we want to see the good and the fluff, right? But then when that fluff is over, everything returns to a sense of normalcy. Then that's when I get to meet who you are. So my first question, and it's simple because I always like to just start out with this. Can you provide a general definition of relationships?
So for me, it's simply the interactions that you have with others on a consistent basis. And like what we were talking about earlier before the show actually started, the relationship is all around us. It's like you cannot escape it. You just can't escape it. And I think that's like one of the only things in life that's like that, where it's this thing that goes through your whole life, or every area of your life. Because if you go to school, you're going to have relationships with teachers and other students. You go to work, your coworkers. You stay at home all the time. The mailman, y'all not going to talk deep in depth, but they bring your mail every day, so you might wave. But whoever you are consistently having interaction with, to me, is a relationship. And those can be, very informal and casual, all the way up to, intense and romance and intimate. But it's one of those things. Like I said, consistent, interaction with anybody, just consistent interaction. And so that's what relationships are for me, because when we first talk about them, the first thing women usually go to when you're talking about relationships is, relationships, romantic or, intimate relationships. But they are everywhere. And like I was saying, you can't really escape it, because I was joking before, like, even if you never ever leave the house, you have to get food. So whoever's delivering your food, they're going to be somebody you deal with on a consistent basis, even if it's peeking out the door and just like, I got it, go. But, it's something. And because they don't always have relationships, it can have a nonverbal, you know what I'm saying? A nonverbal aspect to it. But if it's consistent interaction, then that's what a relationship is to me.
Exactly. When you were talking about, and we was talking about earlier, I forgot the name of the movie, but the movie with Tom Hanks, and he had the ball Wilson, he formed a whole relationship with that.
Castaway? I think it's called Castaway.
It's Castaway, yeah. So you definitely on point talking about relationships.
He had a relationship with a ball. See, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
But it was consistent interaction, and I guess it helped with his mental health, so that he wouldn't go all the way, over the edge.
Yes.
Some type of interaction.
Yeah. And speaking of mental health, I want to go ahead and segue. So everyone that comes on to Under the Scope, I ask them their definition of mental health. So what's your definition? It's not textbook, Google, whatever.
My definition is to be able to cope. Life throws us a lot of things, but being able to cope with stress, being able to make healthy decisions. I feel like our mental health includes our emotional health. They're very, very closely intertwined. Our physical health, because, and of course, people who are sick, and I don't want to minimize, but get sick, and you will see how your mental health is affected. Mm-hmm. So our social interactions, like relationships, because I do feel like we need a social aspects. Just like what's his name, Tom Hanks and the ball, he had to create him some interaction to keep his mental health somewhat intact. So it includes that for me, the social, the physical, of course, the physiological or psychological. So it includes all of that. So basically, it's just everything that makes up you. To me, is your mental health.
All right. Well, awesome. All right. So I know you're a relationship consultant, so you've been in the field. In your opinion, what are some of the common factors that impact mental health in relationships?
I like this question. And what I'm about to speak is because of personal experience. So, and because I believe in therapy, I go to therapy, I'll do therapy, when I need it, and sometimes when I feel like I don't need it, but I may need it soon, I am an advocate for therapy. And so when I was in therapy a few years ago, it was actually after a very traumatic, the breakup wasn't so much traumatic, but dealing with that person throughout the relationship was traumatic, and it wasn't even that the overt in your face trauma. It was the insidious. You didn't even know kind of that it was that bad trauma. If that makes sense. But I learned about trauma bonds. So you know what those are. So then you know what I'm talking about. So it's like when you think you're so in love and things like that, and you get addicted to this intimacy and this intensity, this back and forth, this roller coaster, but it's really a trauma bond. Y'all are bonding over trauma. And you could explain it more than I can, but that is one of the things that I learned. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what this is, and I didn't know that before, but it made me aware. So I feel like a lot of relationships are built on trauma bonds, a lot of them. And if you don't know what that is, you don't know what that is. And if you don't know what it is, you think it's something else. And a lot of people call it different things. They call it soul ties. They call it he's my soul. I just can't leave a person alone. But it's a trauma bond. So because if they're like being abusive and you're always upset, is it affecting your mental health because you might be depressed? That's a trauma bond. And yes, you break away. It's very, very hard. And like I said, I wasn't even aware of that. So I didn't know. And I do think that's why it's important to seek out help in certain situations. Another one is PTSD. I think a lot of us have had PTSD because of relationships. And it doesn't even have to be because it was a romantic relationship. When I first went to therapy, I was like in my 20s, early 20s. I had 3 deaths in my family within a 4-month time span.
Wow.
I was so depressed. I had never felt that low before in my life. And I was in college. I was like a sophomore maybe, and my college roommate could tell that I was very, very low. Like I couldn't get out of bed, I wasn't eating, and she was like, before you do anything, because she said, would you go and talk to Dr. Bryant, who was the school psychiatrist? And I said yes, and that's kind of what started my journey into therapy. And I kept it a secret. I kept it a secret because in the Black community, it was stigma attached to that. Mm-hmm. And in my family, it was stigma attached to that. Either you're weak or you're crazy or something like that. So that was part of the reason that I just hadn't even considered it before. But she was so concerned with me. She was so concerned. She wanted to admit me. That's how bad it was. And I would not. I was like, listen, I swear to you that I will not do anything to myself as long as you don't admit me, because I did not want anybody to find out that I was. And she said, well, she said, I'm going to trust you. But if you try anything, you're going in the hospital, So, and I didn't try to hurt myself. And it was so helpful to me. And since then, I'm an advocate for therapy, I am an advocate for therapy. So PTSD, and I was actually diagnosed with complex PTSD. And you understand that? Yeah, because virtually all my life up to that point, it was on and off depression. And I'm just being very open because we're here. When I was 10 years old, I tried to commit suicide.
Wow.
I tried to commit suicide. And so knowing my history and all of that, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, and I didn't even know what that was, So again, why I'm an advocate for therapy. And just to go back to me being 10 and wanting to kill myself, that was because I was in a neglectful, violent family, abusive, scary, just conditions that, no child deserves to be in. But that's what it manifested for me. And I called my 20s my decade of depression. I swear, I feel like I was depressed for 10 years. Like that whole decade was very hard. It was very, very hard for me. So it was a lot of therapy through my 20s. And so I just wanted to be transparent and share that, because there is a stigma attached. And then, people see me, and I was always smart. and I was always like, a high achiever. That was academically, because I was able to compartmentalize really well. That's why I was like going through all these funerals and still went back to college. Only this time I could not function. Whereas before I could, I could hide things, but I just could not. I could not. So that was a turning point for me. And I guess, that's how they say the rest is history, kind of. But now it's like, I will talk about it to everybody. I will advocate for it, and I try to take away the stigma of it, because I think I can say it saved my life. I think it's fair enough to say that.
That is so deep. You just unpacked so much in that statement.
I talk a lot.
Yes, I enjoyed everything that you unpacked, because one thing that Carla mentioned, like the trauma bonds, but mentioned relationships, from the childhood, from first loves or second loves or 50th loves, you can experience all kinds of traumas through that. And one thing that Carla, I'm so thankful that you was transparent, because one thing about trauma, and I say it every time, it doesn't go away. It grows up with you. So even though it was there for an entire decade, it just grows. It doesn't go away. It doesn't fade away. And some people try to mask it. Some of us don't have the ability to deal with it, but having that one person to say, I got my eye on you. If it looks like you're going to do something, I'm gonna get you and get you together. And then going into therapy, knowing that there's that safe space in therapy, or that you could talk freely and work through. So these are like all of the benefits of, having that good support and a place to go to talk about it. But it's so hard. And this can happen in any relationship. I know we're getting ready to go to break. This can happen in any relationship, like Carla said, whether it's intimate, because every time we think of the abuse or we think of toxic, we immediately go intimate partner violence. This could happen with parents, in-laws, roommates. I mean, think about all the statistics that are out there. Some of the, unfortunately, murders or things that you see out there, it's not always in intimate relationship. I don't know, unless it's something happened on the back end. It could be roommates. It could be wherever it happened. So I think it's really important for us to realize, like you said, being exposed to it young and growing up with it, or if we know that we've been in a situation that probably caused us a hard time. When we come back from the break, I want you to talk a little bit about stigmas related to a relationship, because I think that that's important too, about how hard it is for us to seek care. But everyone, we're getting ready to take a break. This time is passing fast, everyone, talking about relationships. But before we go on break, I just want to say again, on this platform that I'm on, Praise FM, this platform is 24/7, which means that we have so much room at this table. And so you have an opportunity to come on here and host your own show, right? If you're interested in it, please message Praise FM and talk to the fabulous Dr. Lady Rain about how you can have a show on here. But if you like, I'm not doing that yet, I'm not there yet, we don't want to leave you out either. You can actually sponsor a show, because this is an amazing station that have so many shows 24/7. So again, reach out if you're interested in sponsoring my show or anyone else's show. All right, so we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the fabulous Carla, Necole, relationship consultant, helping us talk about relationships, mental health, and how we can get through it. Come back.
Have you ever wanted to host your own inspirational radio show? Have you been called to inspire and spread God's word? Please contact Alicia Rain for more info.
Are you the next great independent artist, but you're looking for a distribution opportunity? Well, sign with us at Praise.fm Music Distribution. Yes, the 2021 Stellar Award nominated Praise.fm can handle it all. We understand the narrow road leading to getting your music heard at the right time at the right place can be tough. So send your music and video files to fmpraise@gmail.com. That's FMPRAYZ@gmail.com. Praise.fm, music distribution, affiliated with Sony Music and the Orchard Distributors.
Be on top of the world again. Just hold on to his unchanging hand. Be a part of the plan that he laid out. Live life up till it fade out. Fading, fading, fading away. Fading, fading, fading away. Give me 5 words with a meaning. Over 10,000 tongues when it sound like screaming. Scenes from the nightlife, whole team glimmering the keys. Both room and a whip for the evening. Midnight air when I breathed in. Feel the devil's breath on my neck like he leaned in. Got her too high, hit a tailspin. Want nobody in the pit with me when I fell in. Caught an L then, jailed in.
Hey, Praise family, meet Service Disabled Navy veteran Howard Martell. He's a Christian, family man, and business owner of Howard Superstore. Howard, tell us more about the store.
Some of our top sellers include Gen Mink. It's 100% pure mink oil and provides exactly what your skin needs. Gen Java Gourmet Arabica CBD coffee with an unbelievably good taste. Jenny's Roll-On Pain Relief. Gen Health, which supports a healthy immune system. Ultimate Keto, Ultimate Body Formula. Gen Pet Max, Total Pet Health for cats and dogs. And Gen Ties, Clean Hands. We're also super enthused to bring Gen Energy to the consumers. This is a power factor correction unit installed in your home or business, and it absolutely helps reduce high energy bills from power companies.
Learn more about these amazing products. Visit howardsuperstore.com. That's howardsuperstore.com.
There is an exciting new book out named Transition by author Crystal Sauls. This book talks about her changes from childhood to adulthood and other things that happened in her life. This book is also a testament that anyone can turn a negative life into a great life. Transition has recently become a bestseller on Amazon. You will find exciting and realistic reviews about this best-selling book. So, visit thetransitionbook.com and order your autographed copy of Transition today.
Shop Soulful Touch Roses for your personally designed rose at soulfultouchgifts.etsy.com.
Unique Sounds Music Group presents a music fest on Carnival Freedom, January 26th through the 30th, 2023. Sailing from Orlando, Florida to Nassau and Princess Cay, Bahamas. Reserve your spot today with just $25 by contacting booking at uniquesounds.com
or www.praise.fm. Attention! Music Fest has opened its doors of opportunity for a short period of time to musical talents to perform. For more information about participating in the Music Fest shows, please contact Let's Connect at A2ZChristlife.com or www.praise.fm.
Welcome, everybody, back to Under the Scope. I am your host, Kimbralon B, and I am sitting here chatting with the fabulous Carla and Necole about relationships and mental health. Thank everyone for being here. Thank everyone for coming back. Still not too late to share the show. We're talking about relationships and mental health and how trauma bonds and past traumatic experiences can actually impact relationships and impact mental health. It can cause anything ranging from low self-esteem, probably depression, anxiety, you name it, anything, and even unfortunately contemplating suicide or completing suicide. And so I think it's really important that we take a deep dive into it, because as Carla mentioned earlier, you can have a relationship with anyone. Anyone we come into contact with, not necessarily intimate partner relationships. We have relationships at jobs, everywhere else, at grocery stores, everywhere else around us. So I think it's important that we continue exploring relationships and mental health. So Carla shared so much of her story, and I'm thankful that she was an open book, using her own account and how going into therapy helped her through. But I wanted to ask Carla, because you had mentioned earlier about stigmas. And so what are some of the stigmas that you think are out there that may prevent people from seeking help for their relationships, whether it's like their relationships may be causing them depression, or if they're struggling with PTSD, or even toxic relationships and they're just struggling? So what are the stigmas that stop people from going?
I think one is very common, and that's being embarrassed. Like, you don't want people to know that you taking this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this person is doing this to you. You don't want people to know, because it's embarrassing. And especially if you are seemingly, this, strong, independent, ambitious, successful woman, but then you go home and someone is abusing you. So I think, that people get embarrassed or even feel ashamed. And so that keeps them having the secrets to themselves. Again, I talk about how people are called crazy. If, they go to therapy, nobody wants to be called crazy, because then it's like they feel like something's fundamentally wrong with them. Like something's wrong with me, I'm broken, I'm defective if I go to therapy. So like I said, I kept mine a secret the first time because, sometimes people just, they might think that therapists are like, what they call them, head doctors, or, just like, it's not even real, or that you're weak. Nobody wants to be, so it's like all these words, this language, these negative words associated with, going to therapy. And I think that, that those are the stigmas, you're crazy, you're weak, or some people say just pray it away, that if you need to go outside of your home or yourself or whatever to get help, that there's something wrong with that. But it's not. But those are the stigmas, like something's wrong with me, something's wrong in my brain, and I'm broken, I'm defective, I'm not like everybody else, so you kind of you already feel like you're alone, especially when you're like depressed. You already feel like nobody understands. You can be in a room full of people, but you feel like you're alone. And so add being judged or ostracized or whatever on top of that, and it just gets to be too much to bear. And so then you don't do anything. But your conditions keep getting worse. You know what I'm saying? And you just keep spiraling. But you kind of you take that versus being called crazy or weak, or whatever. So I think that's where that comes from. Actually, I know that's where that comes from. Something about being dependent, on somebody else or something else that's in there. Because I know when I try to encourage, friends or family or women I coach or a child I mentor, because I mentor teens here, teen at-risk girls here. If I mention that to an adult, on their behalf, or just to the person directly, it's I don't know if it's any time that there hasn't been pushback, and some people go on to still try it and do it, and some people get in it and they're like, okay, but I don't think it's ever been somebody just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's always some pushback you have to convince, and and then so even for people who have had experience with therapy, so when they may need to go back again, you're like, maybe you need to go, talk to someone, even though they have experience with it, it's pushback at first. So it's hard to kind of get those biases out of people's head. You know, even people who, like I said, have experience with therapy, they'll still sometimes resist going back. So it's just really, and you may was going to ask this, you know, how do we,
close that gap?
Yeah, thank you. That's why you do this. But being open, like that's why I share my story, because you look at me and you're like, okay, she got it all together. You know, she got 2 books, she this, she's that. And still dealt with mental health stuff. You know, still had to go to therapy, still had suicidal ideation. So it could be anybody, any of us, you know, because life gets hard sometimes. So it could be anybody, any of us, or something can happen. Like when we talk about physically earlier, you could be in an accident that changes your whole life. One day you were just fine, going to work, doing whatever you need to do. The next day you can't even go to work ever again.
Yeah.
You know, so I've seen that happen. Like I said, going through any traumatic experience. When I was in my late 20s, like 26, 27, I was the victim of a home invasion. I had a shotgun to my head. I went therapy after that because PTSD, you know, scared to leave the house, thought I was going to die, you know, so I put that in my book too. So you just, some things are out of your control. And then when those things happen to you, sometimes you need some help and support because you can't do it yourself. And I just want people to know that that's okay. It's okay if you need the help.
I know it's a job, I think, for anyone in this field and anyone that believe in the importance of mental health awareness, that us being able to have these conversations on a level of support to whoever's struggling. And right, I mean, it's the way we approach. We got to watch our approach. We got to watch how we do it, when we do it, right? So people can know that we genuinely care. As Carla mentioned, embarrassment, right? So it's hard. I don't care how cool we are, but to have that conversation with somebody, they may not want to open that part, even though you know they're suffering. They know they're suffering. It's like this hidden elephant in the room. But I mean, how do I approach that person and get them to where they need to go? Because they may have those stigmas. I have so many people, Carla, that actually agree with me about mental health, but it's hard. It's hard to take that first step for whatever reason, right? It's the things that we grew up with. And it's probably the traumas. Another thing that goes with this is the trust, because trauma usually means trust was broken somewhere. So it's hard for me to go open up to somebody I don't know, because if somebody I know hurt me, then somebody who don't know me, there's no skin in the game. They'll just go ahead and take me out. Those are my thoughts, right? Trauma has actually shifted the mindset. This is interesting, everyone. Carla, I honestly want to do a part 2. I want to save room right here to take you under the scope. I know we segue probably different, so I got to get you back to get into some of the good stuff with relationships. But honestly, this is about relationships. This is like the intro to the importance of relationship and mental health. And again, I appreciate you using this platform. I probably said it about 20 times, but this is the 21st of you actually sharing this part and showing us why you do what you do and how you do it. Because there are people out there that's hurting, or people out there that's hiding, right? Or people out there, as you have mentioned, that got it all together. Everything looks together, but behind closed doors, they're suffering in silence. And we need to I used to have this saying, or I still say it sometimes, stop it, sis. That means stop suffering in silence. And
I like that. I'm going to start using it.
All right, I'll give you the bill after the show. No, I'm joking. But really, everyone, I do want to do a part 2 because we do have so much to unpack. But I think Carla has shared so much, and I do want to give this opportunity. And I know we're on Facebook Live, so if anyone have any questions, if you don't want to ask for yourself, you can say a friend. I'm asking for a friend. We won't judge you. This is a non-judgment zone. But ask questions about relationships and mental health. I know we're getting ready to take you under the scope. I don't know if we have any questions, but get ready. And Facebook, utilize comments. Zoom room, utilize the chat. All right, so we're getting ready to get started.
I pretty much, told all my business. So I feel like they can just bring on the question.
Yeah, so all right. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get started, Carla. So your favorite fan, your favorite person on here said, I love you, Carla. I'm so glad you're here. So I would throw that in. Here's the first question. How do you guide someone to a better relationship?
So what I talked about earlier, I was like, in my book, it doesn't even talk about how to find a relationship. But that's still a good question. And I think this is still relevant because this whole book is to uplift women, in the relationship with themselves so that they can, if they want a relationship outside themselves, they can choose better. And when I say choose better, it's not, in a condescending manner or saying that they deserve anything that they have gotten in a relationship, because that's not true. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that a woman does something to deserve being beat, or any other thing doesn't deserve to be taken. I don't think that when they say that your relationships are your mirror, I don't take it the way most people take it, because no, you did not deserve that. You did not deserve the beating. You did not deserve your bank account drained. You did not deserve the bill money being spent again. That's not how literally it is to me. I don't blame women, because what's out there. Like I said, what I say in the book, what I say to my friends is, I say the relationship, how they say it's a pool or something. I said it's not a pool, it's a swamp full of swamp things. So I don't say choose better to be condescending or to say, oh, you just keep choosing the wrong person, so you're gonna get what you get. I say choose better as far as your inner growth, building yourself up, like you talk about self-esteem, or having the strength, the fortitude, the tools to be able to walk away in a good amount of time. We stick around too long. That's kind of what the book is about. So I go from just building the woman up, teaching women how to validate themselves so they don't look for this validation from someone else who is not going to give it anyway, not in a healthy way, So validating yourself, knowing what signs to look for, because we don't always know. Like every relationship lesson I learned the hard way. No one imparted wisdom or told me what to look out for. Some of us don't even know that we're being abused. I see women who only feel like physical abuse is abuse, but then there's verbal, there's emotional, there's psychological. But if they're not being hit, they don't think they're being abused. That's what the book is about. So it's to find something good. I don't know how to find something good, but I know how to make you help you feel good, about yourself, so that you can identify the BS. So that you can identify the BS. And I'm trying to find the right words. And I tell people sometimes I'm like, I'm a better writer than speaker, because my brain is working like this, and I'm trying to get it out in something that makes sense. But I don't want us to be any mistake that nothing you've been through is a reflection of something you deserve. That's the point I want to get across. You did not deserve it. And now let's build you up. Let's build up your relationship with yourself. If you want to forgive somebody, forgive yourself. All of the love and the sacrifice and just all of those things that, women do, the nurturing, the taking a lot of stuff, I say take that back and put all of that on yourself, Perfect. And so then when you're out there, when you're out there, I don't know how many good prospects are going to be in your face, but I know that you'll know when it's a bad one. And then you're like, nah, zero tolerance. That's what I want women to get to, zero tolerance. Nah, this is not, I see what this is, and it's not going to work for me. I don't feel good here. I don't feel good with this. And then just be willing to walk away, because I think that's a big deal of us staying too long. Just waiting on something to change, or hoping something gets better. And I'm just like, just be zero tolerance, just chop the tree down, walk away while it's still falling. And that's kind of where I want us to get to. And like I said, I don't know if that's going to equal marriage somewhere down the line, but you got to be willing to die single. You got to be willing to die single so that you will never accept certain things again. And that's what I try to help women come to terms with. Like, it's okay to be single, if it means being abused, if it means losing yourself, if it means, your mental health, then it's okay, to not do any of that. So that's my answer. And I know it was a long one.
That's all right.
Whoever asked it.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You got it. Here's another question for you. Actually, it was 2 questions answered in one. That was a 2-for-1. Here's the next one. What advice would you give your pre-suicidal 10-year-old self?
Oh, that's a great question. So I wrote a lot about that because I talk a lot about the inner child, and especially in my first book, because I know that that's where a lot of my mental health issues came from. I mean, who was a 10-year-old trying to kill themselves? Like, that's really deep, so things led up to get to that point. So what I would say, the advice I would give myself is that it's going to be better someday, because I didn't think it will be better, which is why I wanted to escape. But it will get better. And I will just be honest that it got better when I was an adult and able to just, move away and take care of myself and protect myself as best I could anyway. But I would say, hold on.
Hold on.
I would say hold on because look at me now. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but, like the confidence I have now, the magnetism that I have now, the stuff that I have now, like I worked so hard for this. I worked so hard. It's almost like everything had to be like burned to the ground and just built back up. And it was so hard. It was a very hard time in my life. I didn't think I would make it through. I did. So I would tell her to hold on, but I would tell her too that I'm coming back for you. And I did. I went back for that little girl who was
nice.
I did.
Nice. I appreciate that. And sometimes that's where therapy comes into play, because sometimes you made a good point. Sometimes you don't know that you're in a dark place when you're in the dark place until the light comes on, which is usually later after mistakes and everything else have been made. So, and that's when you go into therapy, it gives you that place to, again, unpack all of this. And so that was so good what you just shared. It really was. I was trying to see if there's another. Okay, so here's a statement for you, right? And I want to give us time to actually find out what you're up to and what's going on next. But here's the statement from Tamara Chase. It says, "Amen. Recently went through a lot of emotional abuse. I thank God he helped me identify it and stay away from it." So I think that is really amazing when we can go through and then we can unpack, get past the embarrassment and everything else and really unpack. One more thing I want to say, because you dropped so much. When you talked about that tree, sometimes it's just better to burn it all down. That's honestly what therapy will do, because typically what we're burning down anyway is trauma. Those strongholds are those things that held us back into becoming who we need to be, who we was on track to be from when we was pre-10 years old. And even if we have to segue and do something differently, we can do it differently anyway. Do it big and do it hard. I liked when you said that. I got another message that's coming in I want to share with you from Dr. Drea. Dr. Drea has a show on Momentum Shift on Tuesday, 7:30 right here. Anyway, all right. It says, "I remember someone broke into our childhood home through my bedroom, and I struggled for years after that. I felt as though I was being watched and violated." Let me see. I was trying to get the second part of it. Let me see. Okay. All right. So it stopped right there. And I guess just, how that trauma, even just realizing how it impacted, then, but then really how it was impacting you as you grow older when you started to encounter other relationships. Oh, okay. That was it. But Carla, I do want to give you time because I know we're almost at the end. That's why I got to have you back. Because if they know what we know, we wouldn't even get to half the questions. But you know what? I believe that this was an intentional shift that needed to happen right here on this platform because honestly, somebody needed to hear it, And so I thank you again for sharing it. And because of that, I know that you have 2 books. I have 1 book, The Ladies Champ, in your other book. So once you share a little bit about that, I do want to offer, I put on Facebook my email address, but I want to put it here on Zoom as well. I do want to purchase both books and I want to give one to somebody and one to another somebody. If you can share a little bit about that while you're sharing what you're up to so somebody can decide.
Right. So this is my first book. I wrote it 7 years ago and published in 2015. It's called The Power Within: How to Heal, Love, and Design the Life You Want. This is my book of pain. I cried writing this whole book. All the stories I shared today, they're in here and even some more. But it was just talking about how I made a decision to find some beauty in this world because I just feel like it was an effed up world. And I was like, I gotta find beauty somewhere, or I won't stay here. And then I also I got pregnant when I was 30, because I had my son when I was 31. And again, I was like, oh, I gotta find something good to bring. I was like, I can't bring him into this, and I hate it. So I just had to find something, and that's where The Power Within was born. And so I just shared my pain, my struggles, and then I shared how I came out from some of it, what I was doing. This is where I was 7 years ago. And I was seeking, I was looking for comfort somewhere. I was looking for peace somewhere. And that's all in this book. So this is my book of pain. But at the end, it ended up being a book of redemption. So it's The Power Within. 7 years ago in May. Then The Ladies Champ. This is the book that I published in April. So it hasn't even been out 2 full months yet. I'm so proud of this, y'all. This is The Ladies Champ: How to Defeat the Allure of Struggle Love. Because like I told you before in my intro, I feel like, women are conditioned to struggle first. Like go through all of the toxicity, all of the abuse, and then you are now worthy of love, or you're worthy of the relationship. And this one is like, nah, it's like, let's burn all that down. This book totally is I'm talking to women. This is for us. It's totally not male censored. The whole book is talking about not being male censored. It's strictly for us. And some people say, you put them on to game. Yeah. It's sort of kinda, but it's so much more deeper than that. It's so much more deeper than that because, like I said, it's to uplift women and empower women and validate women and teach them how to validate themselves. Like we just don't need all the outside stuff, all the noise, and you don't need anybody that's telling you what you deserve. You determine your own. You live life on your own terms, and you determine that. Just like and I know we don't have a lot of time, but just like my acknowledgements page, it's just like 2 sentences. I want to thank you for purchasing this book, and to all the women who live unrepentant, you showed me how to do it. That is kind of, listen, live it on your terms, but on healthy terms, And so that is what this book is about, The Ladies Champ.
Wow.
Totally different books, but both where I am today. This is the, like I said, the confident, magnetic woman who has gone through so much, but still found her way, and still found a way without the validation of society.
All right. Awesome. Where else can we find you and find your books?
So I have a whole website. It also has courses on there as well. And my website is carlanecole.com. And I saw someone drop it in the chat, but CarlaNecole carlanecole.com. So both books are there. They're both on Amazon too. Like if you go to Amazon and put in my name, they should both come up as well. So both books on the website, both books are on Amazon.com as well. And of course, I'm all over social media. But my social media links are on the website too. If you
Perfect.
So I kind of try to keep it a little central so that it'll be easier to find me if you wanted to.
All right. This has been amazing. Again, I put my email address at focuslivingllc@gmail.com on Facebook and also in the Zoom chat. If these are books, I'm buying one and one. Okay. And so I will send it out to whoever I pick from the raffle or the randomizer, because that's where I believe that's who'll get the book. This has been great. I want to do a part 2 because we didn't even get to the tips and tricks of relationships. So we got to come back.
I just keep talking, So yeah, whenever you want me to come back, I will come back.
All right, this will be good. Definitely, you'll have to come back, everybody. Somebody said we need the juicy parts, so you'll have to come back for part 2. Yeah. But right now, everyone, this has been amazing sitting here with Carla and Necole. Let me tell you, you got to catch this replay. Okay, so if you missed it now, you better catch them. You better share it with your friends because they got to be ready for part 2. And again, we have another Saturday that is down in the books in history, y'all. We are making changes in mental health awareness. This is amazing. Next week, Self-Care Saturday, everybody, is Juneteenth. I will be celebrating Juneteenth back in my home state in Texas. Really excited about that. But guess what? We'll be back on the 25th, right back here on Under the Scope. I am your host, Kimbralon B. And here is where good tea and reads are welcome. See you in 2 weeks. Have a great one.
You are tuned in to that praise station, praise.fm, where we get our praise on.